Okay, we are back with another tier list here. As you can see by the title and thumbnail of today's video here, we are going to be doing a survivor tier list here. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna rate these survivors based on perks and cosmetics. That's about it.
Nice.
First up, we got Dweet. Now, good cosmetics, decent perks. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this guy up here. We all love a good old Dweet. Next up, we got Meg. She's probably the only survivor that has all of her teachable perks, which are actually good. She does have Sprint Burst, Quick and Quiet, and Adrenaline. All pretty solid perks, and she does have a lot of good cosmetics, so S tier again. Next up, we got Claude. Now, I'm gonna be slightly biased here. She's my main, so because I am a toxic cladded main, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that up there. But perks wise, she doesn't quite have as good of perks as Dweet and Meg. But cosmetic wise, she does have a lot of decent cosmetics, so I'd say she goes in S tier. Next up, we got Jane. Right, this guy, back in the old days when Saboteur was actually useful and when Iron Will wasn't nerfed, I'll put this guy up in S tier. But other than that, he does have decent cosmetics and Iron Will is getting buffed finally. I'm gonna put this guy up in S tier as well, I guess. Nia, yeah, no real explanation needed for her, I guess. I'm just gonna go ahead and put her up here. Next up, we got Lori. Right, so cosmetic wise, she only has one cosmetics, but that makes sense. She is a licensed survivor. Perks wise, the only good perk she has is Decisive. She used to have Object of Obsession, which was a very good perk back in the old days, but now I'm gonna put her up there in A tier, to be honest. Next up, we got Big Boy Ace right here. Now, cosmetic wise, Ace does have a lot of pretty nice cosmetics, some questionable ones, some very good ones. But perks wise, I mean, his three teachable perks are just mainly luck based. That makes sense since he is Ace. Overall, in general, his perks aren't really that good. You're not gonna use him like in a meta build nowadays or much. It's just an overall looting build you can run. So I'm gonna put this guy up in B tier.
What the?
Next up, we got Bill. Right, so perks wise, Bill, the only good perk he has realistically is Unbreakable. That's the only good perk he quite has. BT used to be good back in the old days, now it's kind of meh. Cosmetic wise, he only has, I think, 2 outfits, so that's not that much compared to other survivors. I'm gonna put him up there with Lori though. Next up, we got Fang. Next up, we got David. Now, before Dead Hard and We're Gonna Live Forever got nerfed, I would put this guy up in S tier. However, since the We're Gonna Live Forever nerf and the Dead Hard nerf, no Mither, well, that perk doesn't really need an explanation. So I'm gonna put this guy in roughly A tier. Next up, we got Quentin. Again, he is a licensed survivor, so 0 cosmetics. But his 3 teachable perks are just poop. So because of that, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this guy D tier. Next up, we got Tap. Another licensed survivor. However, he does have, I think, 1 or 2 cosmetics. He does have Tenacity, which is a pretty decent perk. But the rest, like Stakeout and Detective Hunch, they're both kind of useless. So I'm gonna put this guy in B tier. Next up, we got Kate. Next up, we got Adam. So Adam, he does have a lot of decent cosmetics. His teachable perks aren't too bad. He does have Deliverance, Diversion, and Autodidact, I'm pretty sure. But he does have 2 very good teachable perks. He does have decent cosmetics. So I guess I'll put this guy up in S tier as well. Next up, we got Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Now, his 3 teachable perks are not the best at all. He has Aftercare, Torsion, and Breakdown, I'm pretty sure. Those 3 perks aren't used as much. You do see aftercare being used every now and then, but he does have decent amount of cosmetics, so I guess this guy goes up in A tier. Next up, we got Jane. Now, her 3 teachable perks, like there are Head-On, Solidarity, and Poised, I think. Head-On is actually a pretty fun perk. It's used a lot in a lot of like fun dual locker builds. It is pretty decent perk. However, Solidarity and Poised, you don't see them used too often. Cosmetic wise, she does have pretty good cosmetics. I think she's worthy of like high end A tier, to be honest. Next up, we got Ash. His 3 teachable perks, which are Flip Flop, Buckle Up, and Metal of Man, they're not the greatest, but Metal of Man is a pretty decent perk. You don't see it that often, but it is pretty decent. Flip Flop, you do see it used in some builds nowadays. It's not bad. Buckle Up, you don't quite see it that often. I guess I'm gonna put this guy as a decent, like, B tier, to be honest. Next up, we got Nancy. Next up, we got Big Boy Steve.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this'll do. This'll do just fine.
Next up, we got Yui. Next up, we got Zarina. Her 3 teachable perks, which are Off the Record, the Red Herring, and For the People. They are actually pretty good for teachable perks. Other than Red Herring, I say For the People and Off the Record are very commonly used. I use Off the Record myself, so it's a pretty decent meta perk nowadays. Cosmetic wise, she does have a lot of decent cosmetics in my opinion as well. She's pretty good. So I'm gonna put her up there in S tier as well. Next up, we got Cheryl. Her 3 teachable perks, which are Blood Pack, Repressed Alliance, and Soul Guard. They aren't bad. They aren't bad at all. You do see them used nowadays. You don't see them commonly used as some other perks. But you do see like Soul Guard and even Blood Pact used quite frequently. Cosmetic wise, she does have decent cosmetics. So I'm gonna put her up there, I think, in A tier. Next up, we got Felix. His teachable perks, which are Built to Last, Visionary, and Desperate Measures. They aren't that good. The perk that I mainly use from him is Built to Last when I'm running a full-on flashlight build. Cosmetic wise, pretty decent. Perks wise, kind of mid. So I think he deserves a spot in A tier. Next up, we got Elodie. Now, her treatable perks, which are Appraisal, Deception, and Power Struggle, they are actually pretty decent perks other than Appraisal. That's probably the worst one she has. Cosmetic wise, she doesn't have a lot of cosmetics, I think, just mainly a bunch of reskins. In general, I think A tier is where she mainly belongs. Next up, we got Yon. Now, her 3 teachable perks, which are Fast Track, Self-Preservation, and Smash Hit, you don't often see them in rounds, to be honest. However, cosmetic-wise, she does have a lot of very good cosmetics, so props to her for that. So, because of that, I think A tier is where she belongs as well. Next up, we got Jill. Next up, we got Leon, another licensed chapter from Resident Evil here. His teachable perks, which are Bite the Bullet, Flashbang, and Rookie Spirit. They aren't that bad. You do see Bite the Bullet and Flashbang quite frequently. You don't awfully see Rookie Spirits that much. Cosmetic wise, again, he's a licensed survivor, so the devs can't randomly add outfits for him. So I will put this guy up in A tier as well. Next up, we got Michaela, another one of my favorite survivors here. Her spot, I think, high-end A tier. But I'm gonna be slightly biased here and throw her in S tier. Next up, we got Jonah, or Yona, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Next up, we got Yoshi. Next up, we got Hadi. Now, her 3 teachable perks, which are Residual, Manifest, Overzealous, I think, and Inner Focus. Again, her 3 teachable perks are not the greatest. Cosmetic-wise, she does have some decent cosmetics. I don't think she has many cosmetics, to be honest. I don't play her that much. But I think overall she has some pretty good ones. So I'm gonna put her up there in A tier. Next up, we got Ada. Now, again, she is another licensed survivor from Resident Evil, so she doesn't have many cosmetics, but that's reasonable. Her 3 teachable perks, which are reactive healing, wire trap, and low profile. Again, haven't seen any of them being used that much. I'm gonna put her up there in A tier as well. Next up, we got Rebecca. Next up, we got Victorio. Now, cosmetic wise, again, he doesn't have that many cosmetics at all. However, I do quite like his cosmetics, they aren't that bad. His 3 teachable perks, which are Potential Energy, Fogwise, and Quick Gambit. Again, you're never seeing them in a game. The only perk that you may see is Potential Energy. But I would say cosmetic wise and perk wise combined, I'm gonna put him in low 80. Next up, we got Thalita. 3 teachable perks, which are Cut Loose, Friendly Competition, and Teamwork Power of 2. Again, I never see anyone running her 3 teachables unless they're doing an adept achievement. However, cosmetic wise, she doesn't have a lot of cosmetics, but the ones she does have, they are pretty decent, I guess. They're not bad. So, I think though I'm gonna put her in B tier. Next up, we got Renato. Next up, we got Gabriel, a survivor that I haven't seen in ages, to be honest. His 3 teachable perks, which are Troubleshooter, Scavenger, and Made for This. The only perk you're gonna see from him is probably Made for This. That's the only decent perk he has. Cosmetic-wise, I don't think he has many cosmetics. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have that many cosmetics either, to be honest. Again, I only played this guy to prestige him, so I haven't played this guy since. But I'm gonna put this guy up in B tier, I guess. Next up, we got Nick. Next up, we got Ellen. Meow. Next up, we got Alan. His 3 teachable perks, which are Champion of Light, Deadline, and the Boom Illumination, I think. They aren't that good of perks. I think the one you mainly see is Boom Illumination. Again, mainly if this 5 is running a full Boom Totem build. At cosmetic wise as well, I don't think he has many cosmetics either. But he is licensed, so that makes sense. So I think therefore he deserves a spot in A tier as well. Next up, we got Sable. Again, another one of my favorite survivors here. Woo! Yeah! Next up, we got IS3SR, I think. I don't know how to pronounce her name, honestly. I'm very bad with names. She is a recent survivor. She is the most recent on live servers, that is. So she doesn't have that many cosmetics at all. In fact, I think she only has like 1 or 2 cosmetics, and then the rest are just reskins. Her 3 super perks, which are Mirror Delusion, Bardic Inspiration, and Still Sight. They aren't that bad of teachable perks. I honestly quite like Mirror Delusion quite a lot, and I absolutely love Bardic Inspiration. You can have so many memes, and you can have such a fun time with that perk. You can just play the guitar, and everyone just vibe to you. Because of her Bardic Inspiration perk and her Mirror Delusion perk, I'm actually gonna put her up there in high-end A tier, to be honest. Last but not least, we got Lara. Now, Lara is the most recent survivor. She isn't out on live servers yet, but she is in the PTB. To be honest, her looks-wise, I've seen so many people say in the comments that she looks like a rebrand of Jill, just with better hair physics. Her 3 teachable perks though, which are Finesse, Harden, and Specialist, they aren't that great, to be honest. I thought Finesse was going to be the best one of all of them, and I did use it quite a lot in the PTB. I have personally enjoyed using the perk. However, some people hated the perk, some people love the perk. I'm not quite sure yet. Again, she hasn't been released to live servers yet, so not everyone has tried her out. So I think because of that, I'm gonna put her up there in A tier. But anyways, that is my tier list for survivors based on their perks and cosmetics. I think it's pretty good. Maybe I might swap out some of them. Maybe Yoon and Jane. put them in like S tier or something. But I think overall, in general, this is a pretty good tier list, in my opinion, that is. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good night, guys.